to do this. And also one of the things I believe that we don't often, in a way, communicate with our own pets often enough is we don't know sometimes what to talk to them about. You know, we might think, okay, they seem all right, they seem content, they seem happy, they seem, you know, and often, as we also know, we are brought into the arena of communication if there's something wrong. You know, suddenly they look distressed or they're anxious, or you're about to take them somewhere, or you're going to leave home, and, you know, things are kind of up in the air. So, as you know, I like to remind you and myself to communicate with our own animals, not just when things are wrong or when we got something to sort out. So then that kind of leaves this, okay, you know, we'd like that. We like to be able to communicate with them every day, you know, but then it's like, what do we talk about? You know, almost like this thing hanging over us. What do we talk about? And this also can happen if you're offering communication to a client and your client says, I haven't really got anything to ask them. So just whatever. And then you're kind of like, okay, that gives me freedom. I'm not, you know, set by their questions, but then it also throws into the, ooh, okay, like, where do I start? What can I talk about? And so, but what this does is it's actually a true reflection, I believe, with how much do we communicate with ourselves? Because I come from my own learning that the more I am, the more I develop my own communication skills, then the more I can offer that out. So how often do you have conversations with yourself? How often do you ask yourself how you are? We don't. We often wake up, or the only conversation with ourselves is usually something that's telling ourselves off. Oh, you haven't done that yet. Or, oh God, why did, you know, for me, every morning I wake up, it's like, oh, why did I have that chocolate last night? I shouldn't be doing that. So it's like the first, you know, I'm instead of going, how are you feeling? What's going on with you? You know, when was the last time we did that? And I know that there's people who journal, you know, and that's also a way of communicating with yourself. But yeah, so if we don't know how to communicate with ourselves, to help us open up in a way that gives us more depth of information and insight about ourselves, how do we know how to open our pet animals up? Because a lot of the time, wanting to have what I call deep conversations require a way of knowing how to guide either the questions or the path that the communication's going. All right. So think about sometimes when you're with a friend and, you know, they might say, oh, how are things with you? And you answer in a certain way and you say, yeah, I'm fine. And if they don't ask any further or they just change the conversation, it's like that's as much as they know about you. And yet you could be feeling probably maybe struggling with something, but all they've asked is, so how are you? And your immediate response is, yeah, fine. Because it's almost like the standard way. So if your friend was able to go, okay, so what about, yeah, what's going on with your daughter this week? So they become more curious. What's going on with your daughter? Or what's happening with your boss? The other day you were telling me that, you know, you had a lot of pressure, or you had like lots of deadline. Suddenly, can you see how the conversation then takes place rather than questions and answers?